I'll watch some TV. It'll help me to relax!
Welcome back to the Ren and Stimpy recap. Last week we talked about the first storybook episode with Robin Hoek, and today we are taking a look at Nurse Stimpy.
And with these hands, I hope the fate of millions.
The title card looks really cool. I love the blue colors. The music is cool too, although maybe not super fitting for the episode. Stimpy wakes up by his alarm clock and is really hyped about today as he looks at Ren, who looks not as hyped. Then we get multiple gross close-ups. These are not the worst thing ever or anything like that, but they are kind of disgusting. Stimpy decides he's gonna take care of his body by becoming Nurse Stimpy. Ren is rightfully scared.
Now just relax and don't worry about a thing. I'm just going to perform a few tests.
Stimpy runs some tests on his friend. This scene is a bit slow, but it has a couple of nice visual jokes though.
Okay, let's check your blood pressure. Well, that looks normal.
Ren gets his medicine, which is probably way too much dosage. Ren looks really funny here. The animation is great and his faces are creative.
Man! That's some icky tasting stuff. What is that, anyway?
Cut to 4 months later with the really dirty Ren.
Why, Ren, you haven't washed in weeks. What you need is a nice sponge bath. Aw, you're all sticky with filth. Okay, now, take off your fur.
Oh, no. Forget that stuff.
He takes his fur off, which is... I don't like that. Stimpy washes him, which is just kind of uncomfortable to watch. Turns out lots of people, including Mr. Horse, watched Ren being bathed, and he is now in the newspaper. Ren has a couple of good lines and a good scream.
I don't deserve you. My coffee.
I brought you your paper, too. I know how you like to read your paper at breakfast.
God bless you, Stimpy. I'm sorry I'm all the time mean to you.
The weeks go by and Ren is not feeling any better, in a kind of very dark montage with fitting music. Ren is really close to death here, and the visuals help match that feeling of dread, with Stimpy especially. Ren wakes up one morning and is all better, but turns out Stimpy is the one who's sick now.
Why, I'm better. I feel like $1,000,000. Stimpy, look, you did it. You cured me. Stimpy? Stimpy.
Ren horrifyingly claims it's his turn now as he becomes Nurse Ren.
Oh my gosh. What's wrong, man? Why, you're sick. You're sick! Don't worry, I'll save you. Now it's my turn. Nurse Ren, to the rescue!
This episode ends with one of these end of the show segments. This one seems very similar to the one we saw 2 episodes ago, but it is actually pretty different. The beginning is the same, with Ren trying to end the show and Stimpy freaking out, but the second half is new.
Wait a minute. I got it. You could play with your magic nose goblins.
I picked them myself.
I enjoy this one as well, even though it includes Stimpy's nose goblins, which you could probably guess what that is. So Nurse Stimpy was an episode I kind of wasn't excited at all to rewatch, because this was one of my least favorite episodes of the whole show on my first watch. Coming back to it, yeah, it's our weakest one so far. It's not as bad as I remember it though. There were some good moments here, and the bad stuff wasn't as bad as I remembered, but compared to what we have gotten before this is a step down. There were a couple of good lines from Ren, but ultimately it's just on the weaker side. Their dynamic was decent here, but the comedy... Most of what we get here are visual gags. We have some creative ones, and then mostly just gross-up close-ups. The gross out in Ren and Stimpy is something I respect, but myself don't enjoy that much. I think most of them are really effective, but some of them just end up being way too gross, to the point where I don't want to look at the episode anymore, and that's not good. In this episode, some work, some don't, and it just ends up being a less funny episode than the rest so far. The comedy being weaker also has to do with the story. The pacing here isn't good. Personally, I think this episode moves so slowly. I don't think the story itself is that bad, but I really feel like it drags. Ren is sick. Stimpy runs some tests on him and bathes him, then we get a montage and Ren is now all good and episode over. This is not saying that many other Ren and Stimpy episodes doesn't have these really simple stories as well, but the difference is many of them are funnier than this episode. Fun fact, the creator of the show was so disappointed in this episode to the point where he didn't even put his name in the credits. He was also unable to do many of the jokes he wanted to do in this episode, one of them involving a giant leech that Stimpy would bring in. I think it's for the better that he wasn't allowed to do that one, because that sounds absolutely terrifying. All in all, Nurse Stimpy is our weakest episode yet. Join me next week where we are taking a look at our first space episode with Space Madness.